All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we have the Friday Night Delight on a Wednesday night.
I
The
love it.
Jimmy Nuts, um, previous pro wrestler, as you can see from the from my thumbnail, where Jimmy and I were in the ring together, and you could see me on the ground, all wiggly, dead, done. I didn't stand a chance. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving up your Wednesday night. I know that yesterday you were on a stream with Joanna, which
Hmm.
was a great stream, by the way. I watched that while I was cooking, so that was great. Um, Now, for a little icebreaker,
Okay.
today there was a video, I think it was the beginning of this year, where you were talking about tier ranking things. And you said, I would love to make a tier list based on, hello, some Okie dude, what's up? But you said, I would love to make a tier list, but with weightlifting. So I wanted to, you said that, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested to see like what that would be for you, the SABCD, but
Oh,
weightlifting.
okay. So like tier ranking, like
Like,
trying to figure out books
yeah,
coordinated to exercises.
well, you would do, so you would say, my favorite exercise, S tier, bench press. All right. Well, then I'm going to put, like Lord of the Rings and, Song of Ice and Fire. I'm
Okay.
going to put those up there. So,
Okay.
so what is your S tier, A, B, C, and D? And we'll just,
Oh
So
gosh.
S tier, obviously, we all know that is the best of the best workout. If you could do it every day and not get tired, that's the one. A, you're like, this one's really good. It's just not as. B is like, that's good, And then C, just think of your most mediocre workout where you're like, I'm just ready to get the next one. And then D, obviously, you just hate that one. It's the worst. And it could be anything. They don't have to be the major movements. If you're like,
Okay.
wow, I
Okay.
really hate abductions.
Okay. I love this.
Garbage,
This is fantastic. Okay. So if I had to go S tier for an exercise, the S tier exercise without a doubt, without even question, would be dumbbell row. I love dumbbell rowing. Um,
Those are good.
Phenomenal back exercise. Is also the strongest exercise for myself. Like that's the one
Okay.
thing I've always been very strong on. So I love doing it. Also, who doesn't like a wide back? Like everyone likes a wide back. Good V taper is great. Um, if I had to go A tier, I mean, I really love dumbbell incline press. That is
Mm.
definitely up there. I'm going to try to pick a different body group for each one if I can.
Okay. Okay.
Um, B tier, I mean, I would put lat raises on B tier. It's one of the most pump efficient. You do 3 sets of 15, the delts start looking good. That's always nice.
Yeah.
C tier, I would put, oh gosh, I think for C tier, I guess I would put bicep curls. I've always hated working on my biceps. Um,
That's a very good one to put for
yeah,
C. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it has benefits and it's nice and it's very
Mhm.
visible to everyone, no matter what you're wearing most of the time. But like, I never have really enjoyed doing them. And
Yeah.
then D would be right behind it would be tricep push down because I do not like working on my
Really?
triceps. Yeah,
I
because it hurts
actually
my.
love tricep pushdowns.
I used to, but I have creaky elbows. And then
Oh,
the worst of the worst by far is calf raise because I have skinny
yeah.
calves, always have. And no matter what I have ever done, no matter what, I cannot get them to grow sufficiently with the rest of my body. It's a genetic thing. I despise
Okay.
it. And it's absolutely F tier. I hate calf raises. They're the
Okay.
worst. They're the worst by far.
I am kind of on the opposite of that. Like, I've just had super strong calves, like when I was in the Marine
Must be
Corps, and I'm
nice.
lifting with it's what? As a woman, not really, because like, why do I have giant calves? Like, I don't want giant
Fair.
calves. Like, I give them to you. You want the giant calves. I don't want them. It's
Fair.
just like I've always had really big traps, and I'm like, I don't,
I
I
mean,
don't want that.
big traps are great. I wouldn't hate on it. I'd be happy.
Yeah. I've always like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll just like flex in the mirror and I'm like, like, I was like, I don't even work these out. What's happening? But yeah, I would say I also don't like, I like the way calf races make me feel better about myself in terms of strength, right? But I don't want to work out my calves any more than like other workouts will do, just kind of as a supplementary sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you get older, like your workouts kind of change, right? Like if you asked me 10 years ago, squat, deadlift, A tier for sure. And I still love
Right.
squatting, but it's only when my knees cooperate. And then deadlift is out of my routine completely because there's really no benefit for me at this point. So I love leg
So
extensions. Big leg extension fan.
leg
They're,
extensions are great.
they're great.
So Jose
Jose,
says some dogs have bigger calves than me.
dude, I get it. I get it.
So
I
funny.
remember I was at a urinal, and I think I was in Canada,
Okay.
and I want to say it was either Kevin Nash or Rip Rogers, and they were looking at me and like, you can lift calves, right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. Thanks, I appreciate
That's
that.
so disrespectful. At the urinal too? That's
Yeah,
horrible.
I'm trying to pee, and you're like checking me. Like, it was all around, just not really cool. And I can't remember if it was Kevin Nash or Rip Rogers. It was one of them. And I was just like, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. Very cool of you.
You're like, I can't wait to get away from here. Go home.
Yeah, I could not wait to get back
Be by
into the
myself.
good old United States of America. Couldn't wait.
After that.
Yeah.
Well, that was amazing. I love that. I actually have a good little list of questions here, so
Oh
we may
my.
not get through all of them, but I tried to be thorough. I think Brian, who's here, kind of I don't want to say influences. What's the right word for that?
Inspired?
Inspires. Thank you. Yeah, he inspires me to really dig deep and get the questions. And so I did go back and watch your earliest videos, including the wrestling videos as well.
Oh no.
And there's no oh no about it.
No.
This could be a topic that's a little bit heavier, so we could get into it later, or we could get into it now. That's on.
Anytime you want, I'm down. I can go any which way.
So one of the things I want to talk about, which has nothing to do with books, actually, it has to do with our previous lives, really. And when I have watched you on your streams and things like that, and you've talked about wrestling, and I sent you a message about it and said, oh, I feel like we have a lot in common. What it has to do with is that, and this is something difficult for me as well, is that we had this dream that we both had, this careers that we both wanted to have, and then we got injured and were forced away from that, and now we're both in the same space. And I think that that's honestly, it's really cool that a lot of people in the community, like, it's very unfortunate for both of us, however, cool in the community that we can find these similarities,
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about wrestling? So like, as I was watching, I was like, and I've heard you talk about how it's a story, and I really didn't understand what you meant until I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay. So can you explain a bit?
Yeah, it's a
your
simple
persona when you went out there, and
yeah. So I mean, it's most of the time, I should say, it's not always like this, but like the simple formula is this good versus evil, which has been used since, I don't know, even before capitalism was invented, like 1800 years before that. So it's a universal story that everyone can relate to, and everyone can pick a side for, and then root for it, and like have a base understanding of what they want to see happen. And most of the magic, I think, from like performing in a manner like wrestling is like the fact that there's a good chance that the people that are watching you either don't know who you are or they don't care about who you are. And the magic is when you make them care, right? And so often, any stories that we take our times to invest ourselves in, whether it be books or TV shows, we kind of go into it with whatever expectations we have. But there are definitely times we would go in and we just say, impress me, give me a reason to care. And whenever you have, two dudes or two girl, whatever, and they're wrestling, and it's this very weird atmosphere to get people to step out of their belief and kind of suspend that and get invested. Like, that's the magic of it. And I think it's the magic of storytelling in general. And for me, I always made sure that the story was at the root of everything I did. I didn't necessarily care about much of the acrobatics or the stunts or anything. It was always about the emotional connection and
Yeah.
and focusing in on how that you can connect with a room full of people who have no idea who you are, that are, meeting you for the first time covered in baby oil
Mhm.
and tights. I mean, it's a very weird thing, right?
Right.
So for me, I just kind of took my personality and turned it up to like 20, which is what a lot of people say. But my character was kind of Clark Kent-esque,
Mhm.
and I was really good at getting my ass kicked. That was kind of the thing. And then eventually it would be my turn, and that's the comeback, and
Mhm.
that's where people get behind you, and the crowd is, hopefully developing some sort of rhythm with you along the way. And yeah, that's kind of what I did. And the whole thing was to go nuts, right? That was it. Go nuts. And then I was very clean cut, very well mannered, and
Mhm.
eventually I get pushed to the edge by the bad guy, and then I would go
Right.
nuts, and then it's my turn, and the kids loved it. So I
Yeah.
always enjoyed like the younger audiences, just because they I think are a little easier to get to believe, which is
Mhm.
really, really cool. So
Yeah. That's great, and I could tell, like, from watching, I was like, "Oh, Jimmy, like, loves this, like, loves playing the part."
oh yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean,
like acting in a way, but also with, cool stunts, basically.
yeah, physical theater is
There's a stuntman and an actor.
yeah,
Physical theater. Okay.
physical theater. That's what I always call it.
Um, if you don't mind me asking, what happened? Was it your knee that you had,
Yeah, yeah. So I had a knee injury. It was an unfortunate accident. I don't actually know if it was an accident. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but I got injured by another wrestler, um,
um
who I don't think liked me very much. And so I dislocated my kneecap, my patelliformal ligament, and it's basically what holds your kneecap from sliding in and out.
yeah.
And I was out for 9 months. I did not have surgery because there was a chance it could heal by itself. So it healed like 80 to 90% of the way there. I came back from that. I wrestled a year. And then around a year after that injury, I completely destroyed my knee in a
Mm,
match. And it was my patelliformal ligament. I had a crack in my kneecap, partial tear, patellar tendon, tear in my MCL, tore my meniscus, just basically obliterated my knee. And
definitely.
yeah, it was really bad. So what they actually would like to have done at that moment was replace my knee, but they actually won't do a full knee replacement on you when you're too young, because you have to have it done so often. Insurance is also weird about it.
Every, like,
So
15 years or so is
yeah,
what I hear.
and it gets riskier every single time, right? Like your body could
Yeah.
reject it or whatever. So so basically they did the best they could, and they took a piece of my hamstring, tied down my kneecap again, and let everything else heal, and surgically repaired the MCL and the meniscus and all that. And yeah, so one day I need a knee replacement still. Like I still need one
Yeah.
because my kneecap is razor thin. Um, and because they had to shave it down because of all
Mm,
the cartilage that was hanging around. So,
right.
so it's pretty bad, but that was the big thing that took me out. Now, in theory, I could have went back, like, and in
Mhm.
fact, I did go back for about 3 matches in 2019, right before COVID hit, because I kind of wanted to prove myself I could still do it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I did. I tried to go back in 2019 and realized that I did not love it anymore. So,
Mm,
um, and I would love to hear more about your situation, but for me, the right decision obviously is to never do it again, right? For sure,
mm.
never to do it again. And I had other issues, like a lot of concussions, like a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I had some kind of, borderline frightening things happening to me
Yeah.
mentally, just like stumbling my words, slurring my words,
Mhm.
forgetting things very frequently. It was very scary for those people around me. So like there was
Yeah.
other things. I basically what happened was I began to count the cost, right? Like for the first time in so many years, I actually kind of like looked at what I was risking and like what was it taking out of me. And once
Yeah.
you see that, it's really hard to put it back in the bottle. Like it's really, really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, like subconsciously, I knew that like I was doing permanent damage to myself doing this. And for me, it was worth it because I didn't really have any other options in my life. Like I didn't really care. I was a bit
Mhm.
masochistic. Like I didn't really care what happened to me.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. I
but I think,
understand that.
yeah, so I had a much better sense of like self-worth by the time that I was like going through all this. And I realized I had options and I wasn't, a one trick pony, and I had fallen in love with physics at the time and I was in school for that. And, so I think once I counted the cost, there was just no chance that I was willing to pay the ticket again. Like I was just like, I guess this is really it. And then trying to go back in 2019 just for a little bit, just to see, prove to myself I can still do it. And I could. I was great. I was actually, I actually thought I was even better than before in some ways. But there was zero passion there. It was over.
Yeah.
Like I and I actually suffered a really bad concussion in the second match in 2019. I got knocked out cold. It was really bad. And I was just like, what am I doing? I don't even want to be here anymore. Like the aspirations of being on television or going to WWE were very close to for me at one point. And honestly, if they had come to me at any point and said, hey, we'd like to sign you, I don't think I'd have been interested. Not because I'm too good or anything, but because I just didn't care anymore. I didn't want to be on the road 300 days a year. And all the traveling kind of takes out of you too. So like for me, it was like a wake up call. Like obviously better off not doing it for health wise, but also the fact that like I just couldn't get myself there mentally anymore. Like I'm just not the same person that I once was. You get humbled when things like that happen and you see life differently, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that over time you grew up and you're like, you know what, I have more to appreciate in life and more things to experience yet. Like, and with all the injuries in the back of your mind, though they may not have been in the forefront, you're like, I'm not, what I'm doing right now is not worth not being able to speak in, 40s, 50s, not being able to, spend time with family and things like that without having these serious effects from your physical injuries and stuff. So it sounds like, although traumatic injuries and things like that, it sounds like you had a lot of growth and it's helped you become who you are today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it wasn't an overnight thing. It was many years of like, there was some dark times there. And I really think I had just started coming out of it when I made my booktube channel, to be honest with you. Like that was right around the time where I had like started to realize that there was like more life to live, I guess is the best way I could describe it. And just thinking about things I could do that I could do for a long time that was more based on like, my intellect or my personality rather than just like, a large amount of it being physical, right? Because another part of wrestling that's very unhealthy is that it's a very vain business and very demanding and very cosmetic. And that's not good for anybody, especially for someone like me who grew up with like terrible body images and just like low self-esteem and stuff like that. So for me, I wanted to do something that I could do for like a long period of time. And I also fell in love with jujitsu. So that helped out a lot. Like I got into jujitsu and that kind of fulfilled like a lot of like the physical pushing, like trying to accomplish more and being active and stuff. I shouldn't have done jujitsu either, to be very clear. Like I should not have been on my knees at all, but unfortunately.
Well, it's I can definitely understand, like, having had injuries myself, finding things that make you feel strong, finding things that make you feel capable.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I definitely get that.
Yeah. I want to know your story.
Oh, so basically, I joined the Marine Corps, and it was like after boot camp, I was in the schoolhouse and I was, doing a run team thing. Just don't even get me started on that. But I was not surrounded by the best Marines, and it's definitely not to say for the entire Marine Corps. It's not to say even for the schoolhouse. Just the people who I was surrounded with at the time were not good for me. So I would be doing this, we're just running like, 3-4 miles a couple days out the week or something like that, on top of the other workouts that we're doing every day. Yeah. And I was like, my knee really hurts. And I would cry while I was running because it was just so painful. And I went to the doctor. Well, actually, I went to this physical therapist on base, and they were like, because I know being young and in healthcare is just horrible. So
nobody wants to help you.
She was like, you just don't want to be in the Marine Corps anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like, you don't know my pain, lady. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? And so my doctor, I went back and talked to her, and she had a similar, like, kind of seeming like she was believing her. And I was like, I'm switching doctors. Goodbye. Like, I
Mhm.
can't do that. Well, I ended up fighting to get my MRI, got a torn meniscus, started going to physical therapy. And before all this, I was struggling with my weight because in the Marine Corps, being 5'7", you have to be 165 pounds as a female. And the tape stuff just never works for women, like
Mhm.
ever. For men, if you like make your neck big, you're fine. But like for women, you're just cooked. If your body's not like a 12-year-old boy, like you're not passing tapes.
Yeah.
So I did as I'm sure you're aware of what water loading is.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Did that one time. It was horrible for me because I was 20 or 21 at the time, like young person, young female doing that, uh, so that I could lose, like 10 pounds or something like that basically in a day after doing the, 2 gallons, 1 gallon, no salt, no sugar, then nothing at all. Worked out multiple times the last day. No, that's no food, no water. And then went in the sauna twice, which I already had a bad past with saunas. And I stood up and couldn't see for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
It's horrible. So that was there. Also, just the weight stuff, but then also figuring out what my injuries were. And then as I go to physical therapy, I'm like, oh, my other knee hurts. And so do my hips. I'm not feeling good. So I go and I get imaging, and I tore my other meniscus, my right meniscus, and both my labrums and my hips as well.
Oh.
As I'm figuring this stuff out, I found out that I had chronic tendon damage in my shoulders as well. So like tendonitis is the short form and tendinosis is the long form of tendon damage. And finding all this out at like 22-ish years old, I was like, what the heck is going on with my body? Like, I haven't even been in the Marine Corps that long. I'm like, I haven't done anything yet. Like, why is my body like falling apart?
Yeah.
And then I found out I pulled my pulleys in my thumbs as well, which is a common rock climbing injury, but for your pointer fingers, but it's in my thumb, and I've never rock climbed, so I don't know what happened. My doctors are still looking at me like, how did you do all this? Like my orthopedic surgeon did my knee surgery on my left knee, which ended up failing, and I knew it failed 3 months in. My doctor said, no, that's just a healing pain. 6 months later, he comes in, he's like, Noelle, your meniscus is still torn. And I was like, yeah, I know. It feels
Did they use a
possibly worse.
cadaver?
I don't think so.
Okay, I because like if they replace a ligament, sometimes they'll take it from a cadaver, and
Okay.
that actually has a pretty high rejection rate. So like that's why they
Uh,
cut my hamstring, and they used a piece of my hamstring
okay.
to tie my knee down, so it had less chance of rejection. I just wasn't sure if that was the case for you. It doesn't sound like it though.
No, so my meniscus was like, so your meniscus kind of shaped like this, and then
Mhm.
they just sewed it back together, and then it just fell back apart. And
Mm.
so my meniscus kind of looks like this now in my knee, and it likes moving around. And because I'm younger and a woman, they don't want to take out the meniscus. But finally, I found doctors who want to take out my meniscus because I'm like, it catches when I walk, and my
Mhm.
knee will lock up. And I'm like, this is a not great pain for me, and I never know when it's going to happen.
Yep.
Like I just, you know. And then I also had a hip surgery later as well. But so obviously being in the Marine Corps and finding out all these things, I fought and I tried. I still tried to run. I still tried to, pre-knee surgery, I still tried to run, and I was trying to stay in. I was trying really hard. And the place where I was at, some things happened, and like mentally, I was in a horrible, horrible spot. And not only because of the injuries, but some things that had happened in the place that I was at. And I was like, I need to go somewhere else. Like I can't, because I was stuck in the schoolhouse, because the schoolhouse that I went to is already long. It's already like a year and a half to 2 years
Mhm.
that you're in training. And so I end up going to a place called Wounded Warrior, and found out that there were adaptive sports and participated in those. And things really went on the up for me because I saw so many people who dealt with similar things to me or dealt with worse. And all of us working together and finding things that we love to do. Like I found out that I love archery and I love air rifle. Those are my two like really big things that I did. And I did weightlifting with them, but there was only one movement, and it was a bench press, but you couldn't use your legs. So they would strap your legs to the bench. There's a specific bench made for it, things like that. So leaving, and then I ended up having to leave the Marine Corps medically because they weren't going to keep me in with all that stuff going on. And that was a really hard thing for me to go through because I felt like I hadn't done anything. I was like, well, I haven't contributed. Like I didn't get to join the Marine Corps and do what I wanted to do. And but I did meet amazing people, and it has helped form who I am today. And I've definitely become a big advocate for people who are struggling with injuries that are invisible, as I like to call them, because people will see me walking around and they'll be like, oh, she's fine, there's nothing wrong with her. And it's like, well, if you saw my like 20 MRIs,
you'd think different.
Yeah. But and then I met my husband while I was in the Marine Corps as well. And so although very hard times, I know that it's better for me, and that as a Christian, I do believe it was God's plan for me to join, be in, form who I am, and then get out of there and, move on to the next thing and kind of have to find my new dream, which I think has been some of the hardest part of getting out of the dream that you had, that you're into. And just being like, oh, well, that was my dream. Well, now I've got to find a new dream. Like I've got to find new passions.
Do you have a new dream?
Yes, but I kind of ebb and flow with my being like ambitious and like not believing in myself. But I want to translate. Like I want to be a translator.
Very cool.
So I'm going to college for Spanish, and then I want to go to college again for Korean. It's like my plan right now. But I would love to translate in hospitals and things like that, where it's
very cool,
where I can actually help somebody. Like, but do I know if my body will hold up for me to be like, well, room 10B, and I'm like, and I'm like, oh, my knee.
Well, if you need anything, there's something will be there at least, right? Like it's a hospital, so they'll have a crutch. Whether you need a wheelchair, they got those. So you're actually in the best place.
Yeah, that is so true. That's so true. I didn't think about that.
It's all about mindset.
It is all about mindset. But yeah, I definitely wanted to hit that topic with you because I feel like we share some similarities and that we have a lot to say about finding new dreams. Have you found your new dream?
No, I don't think so. So the one thing that I had to, so I'm like a really black and white person in many regards, like more so for myself than other people most of the time. I mean, there are certain things that I'm pretty hardcore about, like cutting a line, but for myself, like I'm really, really black and white. So when I do something, I'm like, I have to be all in on it. Like, and it has led to a lot of success in my life, but it's also led to a lot of like self-hatred, I think. And also like robbed me of a lot of the joy that I've had. I look back at, for instance, like my wrestling career, and I look at the things that I did, and I don't know if I ever enjoyed any of it in the time that it happened. I've only been able to reflect on it since and enjoy it and feel like a sense of sorrow that I didn't celebrate those wins in the moment. And I don't think that this is actually all that rare. I heard Rory McIlroy talk about this when he won the Masters, or maybe it's the PGA Championship this year, but he talked about, and he's a golfer, one of the best golfers in the world. And he talked about how like taking more time in the moments when you get wins and stuff, like he wish he had done that, like that'd be the thing he would change. And I felt like that resonated with me quite a bit, just because like I don't think I've ever really been able to celebrate wins. I've always felt like a sense of almost like melancholy whenever I do well. Like I don't really understand it. Like I'll be in the moment, you know, this huge moment of accomplishment. Everyone around me, people I love are there like applauding. And in my head, I'm somewhere else completely where I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this doesn't mean anything if you can't do the next thing. Right. So like,
Mm,
so for me, it's always been really hard to like not to be 100% in and 100% moving towards something else. So like one of the things that I've had to work on is like being okay, not being the best at something, but also like being okay, not being 100% obsessive. And that counts for, you know, booktube as well. You know, whenever people start their channels, everyone has different goals and stuff, but I think unanimously people just want to be listened to. You know, you want
yeah.
someone to hear your voice, and you want somebody to maybe resonate with what you're saying or have something to say back. And I I never ever considered this to be something where I pursued and it was going to be like a career or a full-time
Yeah.
deal. I love my job. I want to do my job until I die.
Yeah.
But you know, it was something where, you know, I wanted to reach people, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, everybody wants that to a certain extent. And
Yeah.
I think booktube is actually a pretty good exercise in that for me, because like my channel is not like massive. It's not terribly small either, but it's not like I'm not the best, right? I'm not the best at it. I'm never going to outgrow anybody else. Like I'm never going to be like the dude that like, you know,
Mm,
the Daniel Greens or like the Murphy, who I love to death. Like I'm never going to be those people, because that's just not who I am here. So for part of it is like not finding a dream is in some ways a positive thing, maybe, because I am learning that I can have a lot of different loves and split time between things, and not always being 100% in doesn't mean that I'm not trying hard or enjoying myself, like just enjoying the things I do. But
mhm.
on the other hand, not having anything, I do think that like the best of myself was probably 10 years ago, right? Like that was
Mm,
probably a long time ago, and that I've kind of peaked in many
mhm.
ways. And that's hard to deal with, because, you know, there's a chance I might be around for like 30 or 40 more years. And like life feels really um, dry without that,
Mhm.
and boring in many ways. Like there's a lot of days I wake up and I'm just like, what's the point? You know, like I have
Right,
nothing.
right.
I have everything, but I also feel like I have nothing. You know,
Mhm.
I've probably never been so connected to so many different people in the world, yet still feel so very alone in moments, which is
Mhm.
like a really hard reality to live in, you know.
Mhm.
Like I'm seen, but I don't know if I feel seen, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't mean to
yeah,
turn
it
it into a therapy
does.
session, but
No, no,
no,
no. I'm the
I've
one who asked the question, so really it's my fault.
no. This is, I mean, I don't mind answering these things. I just don't want to bum everybody out. But like, I guess
No,
the thing is like when you've really went for something and like you really were all in on something, it's really hard to explain that feeling to someone who has not done that, or maybe has found it multiple times. Like for me, it's like I just don't have anything that I'm that into anymore, right? Like it's just not. And now there are like I love reading and things like that, but that's a very different thing than trying to accomplish a goal. Like I don't have any goals on
is
BookTube. You know, like
it's
I
not
have
as
none. Zero.
tangible of a goal
Yeah. Yeah,
because, like,
exactly.
I did competitions as well, and actually a different thing that I started going through was, like, I was telling you I did the adaptive sports,
Yeah.
and then that got taken away from me as well because they said, "Hey, if you're over a year from being out, um, we can't fund you to go." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Well, this was, like, something I was working towards, like, this was
Mhm.
a new part of myself that I was finding that I was like, "Oh, I love the competition." And although there were competitions where I would be number 1 for air rifle, there was also where I was number 2 or number 3.
Mhm.
Um, and I liked I liked the competition, I loved the people I was around, um, and then that got taken away too, and so I definitely understand that we have these things that we enjoy in life, but it's not the same as some of these other things
Yeah.
that are there.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't feel the same feeling of being up there with my air rifle or being up there with my bow and arrow. I can't get that same feeling from BookTube, but I can find a lot of other things from BookTube that I really enjoy. And that
Sure.
was one of the things that I wanted to talk about too was that um, I know that there's good and bad in every community, obviously, but I will say that I miss the brotherhood of the Marine Corps, obviously,
Hmm.
but as I'm coming over into the booktube space, I really enjoy the community that is here, and there's something special about it, and it does help fill that kind of space in my life. That was like, you know, the Marines that I competed with, and people in other branches that I competed with, and just being, you know, in the Marine Corps and things like that. I think that people in this space are very well rounded, and very, very kind, and come from all sorts of different backgrounds and ways of life and things like that. And definitely have a big appreciation for this space as I have been transitioning out of different parts of my life.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
for
it's kind
sure.
of been that for both of us
Oh
in
yeah,
different
definitely.
times of life.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of made me realize that like there's still ways to connect with people and provide
Oh,
entertainment.
yeah.
Like I like entertaining people, I really do. So
Yeah.
for me, it's cool that somebody who, especially when I started my channel, like I wasn't very well read, but people
Mhm.
resonate with what I had to say, and of course, like I treat it as a skill, so I can get better at reviewing, better at formulating my opinions about books and what I think about them. Like
Mhm.
I think that is one kind of a difficult thing to do, and it's something that people see value in, which is really
Yeah.
great. And I think whenever whenever you have a channel, you like document kind of like your journey with books, but you also document your journey just as like a reading, like a reader as an individual as well. And sometimes that beautifully meshes with like the journey of finding community and something like bigger than yourself. Like there's very
Yeah.
big turning points in my channel where you can tell that like I found someone that I just absolutely love to talk to. I mean, the best example of this is obviously Alan from the Library of Alexandria.
Oh,
Like
yes.
I've done 15 episodes of Chatting with Nuts with him. I've probably talked to him for hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
And that isn't because those get the most views or anything. It's just because I found something that like I wanted to spend time doing, which was conversating with Alan, who honestly, me and him have such differing opinions on so many different things. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
we are so there's a valley between us in many regards, but also there's some beautiful intersections there of a branch, over the
Mhm.
canyon. And
Mhm.
those are the things that we try to celebrate in between bickering with each other, which is pretty great. So I think that like I think as human beings, most people like to feel like they belong to something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And I left the wrestling community and I've never really went back. There's a few dudes that I really love from
Yeah.
that community, but largely I found out that community, and it's not really their faults, but like, it wasn't as real as I thought it was, I guess is the best way I could describe it. Like I had a lot of people who never once talked to me again, that I rode in the car with for hundreds of hours, um,
Yeah.
and helped and stuff, and I never heard back from them. Whereas I feel as if the connections that I've made in this community have not just been real, but like life changing in many ways. So that's a really cool thing to say. And there's always good, like you said, there's always good and bad, right? There's
Yeah.
people on here for very different reasons, and I support anyone's reason to be here as long as it's not driven, obviously, like by hate or something.
Yeah.
Which
As long
thankfully
as you're not
we don't
evil, like,
really yeah, we don't really have that, thankfully. I mean, there might be like a few dark, recessed corners of booktube that do that or something, but for
yeah.
the most part, um, I think everyone here is, pretty genuine. So
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Samwise had a great question, which was, do you ever have books that you just don't want to document on your channel, like something
Yeah.
you want to keep just for yourself?
Yeah. First of all, I talked about this when I read The Devils. Like, there's just something about Joe Abercrombie that I find so enjoyable, and I don't think I care to put into words why, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to
Mm.
overthink it, and some people are going to take that as like, well, you don't want to critique it because you know it'll fall apart. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that to me, it's almost a little bit magical whenever I read his stuff. There's something about it that just clicks with me in his writing style, and I want it to remain that for me for now. So I do talk about Joe Abercrombie on my channel, but I don't talk about him very much.
Yeah. For myself personally, I haven't gotten there yet. I don't think that I don't think I've really had any books that I don't want to document. I think I'm in my kind of beginning stages of, like, because although I have this channel, I also have my
Mhm.
other channel, which I started about 2 years ago, I think, which turned into a manga channel, but we just wouldn't even get into that. Sometimes I wish I didn't start it just because I have taken big breaks from One Piece because
Oh, me too.
I I love talking about it so much, and I love talking about it in detail. However, that takes a lot of work and a
It
lot
takes
of
a lot
brain
of work.
power
Dude,
that I am just like I love the community that I have built over there on that channel as well, just the people that I have been able to talk to. They give me so much insight, and I am in the stages of everyone is very kind, everybody is very understanding. If I say or do something wrong, they're like, "Hey, just letting you know, like, this is this." I'm like, "Thank you for letting me know." Honestly, wouldn't have known, and they tell me all sorts of history, and it's just amazing.
are you aware of my
Um,
manga channel that no longer exists?
n no. I
Okay.
think I heard about it, though.
Yeah,
I
so
said "Rip Dudes Talking Manga," which I'm
yeah, dude,
assuming is, what it
it was
was.
like a spin-off program that was it started on my channel covering Berserk with my best friend Andrew, who does he's not a booktuber, he's just my best friend.
Okay.
And I kind of felt like I didn't want to mix those two things, and he was going to take over a lot of the responsibilities. I want to give him the keys to my castle, so I was like, "Hey, why don't you make a separate channel, and then we'll do manga over there."
Mm.
And my friend Andrew, love him to death, but he never follows through on anything. He has ADHD to the most extreme measures. So we had this channel was sitting there. We had done like 3 videos, and I really wanted to read One Piece. So I read One Piece, and I really liked it. So I made a video, and it got like 150,000 views or 160,000 views or something. And I was like, oh
The
no.
pressure is insane. Yeah.
Oh, I swear to you, immediately I was like, oh, I don't want this. Like,
Yeah.
everyone thinks like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if my video got 100,000 views? I hated it. Like immediately I messaged Murphy and I was like, I'm spiraling in
How do we fix
anxiety. Like, I don't want to be perceived by that many people. And she was like, oh, this happens to me like once a week. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. At least it's normal.
it?
And so I got all the way to the time skip. And the videos, I mean, I was doing really, really well. Like so many people were tuning in each time, tens of thousands of views, which I wasn't used to. But
Yeah.
I did not have I would say like 90% of the audience was amazing, but man, there was 10% that were ruthless and mean. And I realized I was like, why? Because then I couldn't read the comments because one, people were spoiling me, and two, people were being nasty. And I was just
Mm,
like, you know what? If I'm not like I do this to interact with people. So like if I can't read every comment, like because everyone's like, oh, just don't read every comment. I'm like, well, if I can't read every comment, then why am I doing this? Like, because I don't give a shit about the
right.
views. Like, I don't care about the views. It wasn't making any money because I didn't have Patreon or anything. Like, YouTube
Mhm.
doesn't really pay me. So I was like, I'm not motivated by those things. And
Yeah.
then it becomes like, oh, well, why am I doing this type of thing? So for me, it became not worth it. And I took all the videos down, and the channel I think exists still, but there's nothing on it anymore.
Mm.
So but it's funny. I was going to say manga in general. Like Mitch is talking about 20th Century Boys. I will be reading that eventually, continuing it, and I will not talk about it online. Like I'll talk about it with friends, but like I'm not talking about it
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish that I'm very in the in between of like I love the community that I talk with about One Piece, but at the same
Mhm.
time, there is that pressure that I feel like I just don't read it until I feel like I have the brain power to say something
Yeah.
that is worthwhile, because there are so many people that talk about One Piece online, and I'm like, well, I know that a lot of booktube is like selling yourself. And I'm like, well, I want to be able to actually add to the conversation and not feel like I'm just saying what someone else said or something like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, part of my issue, and this comes with any fandom, by the way, not just One Piece, but when people are like spectating you experiencing something that the mass of the internet's already experienced, it becomes like a litmus test to like prove that you not only read it, but like to prove that you got it the way everyone else got it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
most fandoms have a very adverse reaction to not going with like the common interpretation of something or like the common
yeah.
reaction. And I know everyone says like hot take, which is like that's like the worst trend on the internet. Like, could we just stop that? Like, I'm so like I've done it and we've all done it. Can we just stop? Like, I'm cool if we stopped. It would be great. I mean, hot takes can be pretty fun though. Let's be fair. Like, they're actually pretty fun.
The
But
hot take videos can be fun.
they can be
Yeah.
really fun. And so I'm being curmudgeon. But my point
That's
is that whenever like that I kind of feel like it almost like changes the way you read in the sense that like, oh, I got to make sure like I prove that I understood this
Get
piece.
every detail and
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great, but like I've read A Song of Ice and Fire like 8 times, and I
Mhm.
still find stuff that I didn't
Yeah.
catch on the first 7 times I read it. So like, we're not all PhD
No.
grade studiers or whatever. So
We can't all be
to
Philip.
yeah, that's right. We can't all be Philip Chase. Thank God. Be so boring.
Catching strays all the time.
Be so boring
Poor
and
Philip.
gray.
Oh my gosh. You know what
So
is so
cold.
funny? I've asked you one question on my list.
All right, go ahead. Machine gun me. Machine gun me.
I can't. It's not these type of questions. But okay. So speaking of A Song of Ice and Fire, I actually wanted to talk about A Game of Thrones book 1. It's the only one I've read so far, right? I
Okay.
read it last year, and then now I've been trying to go through The Faithful and the Fallen and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So, let's talk Arya and Sansa, book 1 only.
Okay. Yeah,
George R. R.
let's do it.
Martin has made me realize that an old man can write young girls extremely well, because Arya and Sansa felt like reading about myself and my sister,
Hmm.
but in medieval time period. Myself being Arya, my sister being Sansa. And I was watching this stream with you and Mrs. Nuts where you guys were talking about, justice for Sansa, and I'm like, I don't like Sansa in the first book. I don't. And it's not like I hate her, but it's that like she makes a lot of bad choices.
Yes, she's
And is
grating.
very
Yeah.
selfish.
Very,
Yeah.
very selfish. Yes. Just like a lot of, 9-year-old girls are. I would say 9-year-old boys as well.
Yeah.
That's totally fine to be frustrated or dislike her. My problem with Sansa is that some of the things I hear like online about her, when I hear people like ranting, it just sounds so misogynistically mean. Like it's just like she's 9. She's 9.
Yeah, like, calm
Like,
down.
which don't get me
Yeah, I'm
wrong,
not
she
going
she
too deep into
frustrates
it. Just
she frustrates me incredibly so, but I think it also, and I've said this before, and I think Bookborn credited me in her A Feast for, no, maybe it wasn't Feast for Crows. She made a video and she used this point that I had brought up to her once and credited me with it, which I appreciated. But Sansa is like the stand-in for the typical fantasy reader. I mean, Sansa is the frustration I think that George felt with the fantasy community at that point in time, because Sansa still believed in knights and tales of her heroes, heroic acts and chivalry, and that the good side always wins, and she will marry Prince Charming, and then she will be a lovely queen, and the people will love her. And so much of what people think of fantasy, especially outside of fantasy, is that's what they think of, right? Like they think of dragons, and the good guys are always going to win, and there's these wonderful knights that are so polite but also so strong. And Sansa begins to realize that the world is a lot more complicated than that, and that sometimes the knights that are presented on the outside by the armor are rotten within. And I think that George is using Sansa as that mechanism to kind of give you a hint as the reader that this fantasy world that he's introducing you to is not going to go the way a typical person would think of a fantasy world going. I'm not saying there wasn't already dark fantasy and stuff. Black Company existed, Thomas Covenant. I know that stuff. But I think this was just George's commentary towards the fantasy community, and Sansa standing in for the, what would be the quintessential fantasy fan, maybe in through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the early 90s. So for me, Sansa is one. I mean, I just enjoy the bickering between her and Arya quite a bit. But I also think
home for me.
it's so good. Yeah.
I enjoy it though. Like, but it is so close to home where I was like, he based this off me and my sister. That's what this was.
Yeah, there's something kind of cool about George R. R. Martin in the sense that I feel like he never forgot what it's like to be a child. And
yeah,
I don't remember what that's like personally. And I would imagine there's other people out there who probably don't really remember what it was like, but he captures it in a way that is so striking, considering the fact that the next chapter will be a chapter from, an edgelord like Theon. And then the next one's from Ned, who is noble, but to a fault. And you're switching mindsets constantly with the POV chapters, and it's very, very impressive.
and you got Tyrion, and which I love him. It's some of my favorite chapters in the first book. I also it's an unpopular opinion. It's a hot take. Not really, but uh people don't really, I guess, like the Hound that much in the first book. I really liked him.
Down.
I
I mean, come on.
yeah,
He's a
great,
brother who was burned. I
great.
mean, like,
Mhm,
it's so
mhm.
good. It's so good.
Loved the chats he had with, was it Sansa? I think it was Sansa he talked to in the first book. That we
Yeah, it
got
would
to
probably
hear
been Sansa.
this.
Tyrion talks to him as
Mm.
well. Yeah.
I think it was like this, some of the moments he had with Sansa where I was like, oh, I like this guy. But I definitely wanted to it was funny because when I initially reached out and was like, oh yeah, I want to talk to Jimmy, it was like right after I got done with the Song of Ice and Fire. I'm sorry, the Game of Thrones, the first book. I don't know why I want to say a Song of Ice and Fire, but so the next question. Oh, Jose said, I read a Game of Thrones when I was 13. At the time, I believe books didn't have swear words. Then there was a scene with Dany and her brother on page 50 that left me very bewildered.
And he said, so I was pretty much Sansa, but that's it. Yeah. Jose gets it. Jose gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I saw epic fantasy. Yeah. I mean, it was just done in a very different way, very historical kind of sweeping narrative in some ways. And I think that that's something that has really resonated with a lot of people for whatever reason that is.
Yeah. I think George like really doesn't shy away from the bad parts of humanity. And but he also has good in there as well. And I think that he
Yeah.
just does such a good job with making his world feel so real
Yeah.
because of the dynamics that he has within it. It just is like, yeah, there are people that I think maybe just about everybody could like relate to or,
Yeah.
find something in common with, and things like that. So
Yeah, for sure. And another thing about it is that I still believe A Song of Ice and Fire is heroic fantasy, but I think it's being a hero in spite of all the terrible things that are going on. And they're living within a system that doesn't work for the common folk and that is obviously misogynistic in many ways. And despite that, we have people that will stand up and some people who don't even really want to stand up. Like, I don't think the Hound imagines himself being in some ways. I mean, he's trying to sell her for a ransom, but he's kind of Arya's guardian for a little bit, right?
yeah.
And I don't think that he had ever planned for that to be that to leave the Lannisters during the way he does. But there's just a lot of there's a lot of small things that get overlooked for all the nihilistic stuff that is in the narrative, which there is nihilism in the narrative, but it's not a nihilistic story at all. Samwell Tarly is a great example. Davos is a great example. There's plenty others as well. So I still find that there's heroic characters and moments in there. They're just not as typical as some of the other stuff that we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. My next question is there something like weird or maybe more niche that you really like to see in books that maybe not everyone else does, or something that just kind of finds its way into the books that you really like? So for myself, like, for whatever reason, some of my favorite books have some of the like worst torture scenes in them. And it's not that I like torture or anything like that.
Have you
right?
read Berserk?
I can't. I can't read Berserk.
Okay. That's fine.
The essay can't. But
I never recommend it anyways. So
that's the only reason. However, my husband likes Berserk, so he'll tell me about the stuff on there. So but I like examples being Valor by John Gwynne, A Game of Thrones, The Lies of Locke Lamora. Those books like really stand out to me and I love them. And I'm like, wow, but they like, it just ups the ante when they have some of those scenes. Then I'm like, how are they going to get out of this? How is this going to change them as a person and stuff like that? But it's, on the surface, very weird for me to go, yeah, like when torture's in books or something like that. So.
Yeah, I'm quite a fan. I mean, there's a lot of books popping into my mind, like Book of the New Sun, Sun Eater. There's parts of Malazan, Talk to the Younger. You would really, I guess, enjoy is the word I'll use. Maybe you would find it compelling. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Let me think. Man, I think there are things that I like in my books, but I don't think that they're like niche or unpopular, right? Like I love
Okay.
a downtrodden, middle-aged protagonist, like a Kamian from the Second Apocalypse or Kaz from Bejeweled's Curse of Chalian. I think that those two stand out to me. I love a good last stand, like one last battle type deal for the
Mhm.
old wounded warrior. Uh, but those things I think are fairly popular, right? Those
Yeah.
are I think body modification might be something that I kind of find interesting. Like, I'm not a huge
Okay.
cyberpunk fan, but I have found that like body modifications is the thing that I like about cyberpunk. I just think it's interesting. There's also some body modification in the Baslag series by China Mieville that I think really dives into like identity and permission and punishment, and there's like a lot of really interesting stuff there. I love open endings. I completely
Mhm.
agree with you. I actually prefer it greatly to a nice and tidy ending. I love open endings so very much.
I think that, yeah, I like that too because, and I think the reason why is because I like the conversation. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm very excited to finish the Song of Ice and Fire of what is out because I'm so excited to jump into the conversations and, finally listen to Bend the Knee because, like, I can't get myself all spoiled, so I have to
Yeah.
wait. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the body modification is interesting. I actually had a D&D character that she was obsessed with body modifications,
Hmm.
to the point of getting rid of her own limbs so that she could create a new one that was better. So,
Hmm. I
and I
like
think
it.
that probably has to do with my body not working exactly the way I want it to and getting
Oh, I know
injuries and stuff
you're
like
like
that. Like
me.
that's what into
You're
my
you're waiting for robot legs, right? Like that's what I'm waiting
right,
on. Like,
yeah,
give me the robot legs.
right, yeah. So I wanted to jump into something not about books, but it's something
Okay.
I always find interesting is your favorite genre of music, maybe some favorite artist, but not only that, some songs that right now you could listen to on repeat. Like,
Oh no.
oh no, is it too exposing? Do we just need to skip through this one?
No, 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 no. It's cool. I just love trap rap. I love drill music. I love aggressive rap music. It is my favorite
Mm,
form of music, and it is not close. I have gaslit myself into enjoying NBA YoungBoy after about 80 hours of blasting his dreadful music into my eardrums. I've now decided I've liked him. I've gaslit myself into it, and Bring the Hook by NBA YoungBoy. I mean, it's a diss towards O Block and the Southside Chicago drill gang from what 61st, not from 63rd, yeah 61st, 62nd. Yeah, I really like drill music. I know that that's cringe coming from a middle-aged white dude, but yeah, I really like
no,
drill
it's
music.
fine. Like you like what you like. Like
There's an
I
authenticity to it that I find to be like very visceral.
music from which video games are incredible. I'm not sure that I've seen that, but
I haven't either.
um do you have any songs was that one of your songs that like is like, yeah, I could listen to this on repeat, like it plays through and you're like, "Oh, get back."
Yeah, I think
I
that is definitely one of them. I would also say pretty much anything from King Von. Like I'm a big fan of King Von and Lil Durk. There's there Back Again. I would say Back Again probably by King Von
Mhm.
and Lil Durk. That's probably my favorite song by them.
Okay.
Don't listen to it though. It's heinous.
I have a song for you. I can't
Okay.
say it on here because I don't curse on my channel, but it's a very aggressive rap song that I used to love to just get hyped to. But like, so where I grew up, when we had our school dances, it was all trap rap music.
Love it.
No, like maybe one slow dance song. And if they tried to play anything else, the kids would boo the DJ until they changed it. I was not a part of that, but I was like, wow, this is horrible. But I, you know, I grew kind of fond of the trap music just because it was what everyone listened to when I was in high school. So that was at least in my area, and so yeah, I got into that too. So I have a song for you that you may already know, but it is one of the ones that I would just turn all the way up and listen to. But I definitely don't listen to trap music as much, but I do have a whole playlist dedicated to it. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so I definitely understand that one.
Yeah, I also
um,
only listen to music at the gym, so I need something that gets my blood pumping. Like, I don't really
yeah,
listen to music in the car. I don't really listen to music at home. It's just when I'm working out. So
I
it's got to be something to up the heart rate.
that is so funny.
It was not $100, Mitch, and I had to save myself by not quoting Chief Keef.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, move the decimal over.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it was,
maybe a good
I think he
10
did
spot
super
or
chat me though. I think that is true.
something. So I think I know the last book that made you cry, right? Was The Bluest Eye, right? Is that what
Yeah,
it's called?
yeah, that tore me up pretty
Very
good.
emotional.
Very, very emotional. I'm trying to think of like the other, like another book besides that. Windhaven actually choked me up quite a bit by Lisa Tuttle and George
Oh.
R. R. Martin. Like that one got me pretty good. I remember I'm actually looking at my red stack on Goodreads currently, just trying to figure out what if anything else made me feel something like a lump in my throat. And
Mm,
looking through this, I don't think there was anything else this year. I don't
okay.
think so. I don't think James did. Um, I will say Prophet Song by Paul Lynch filled me with a sense of dread that was really hard to let go. That was
Mm,
pretty rough.
yeah.
Foster by Claire Keegan. That one got me. That one got
Okay.
me. That's a great book. 80 pages. Fantastic.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I think that's it. Oh, the Book Thief. That one was an ugly cry. I ugly cried during that.
Mm,
And Will and Testament by Vigdis Hjorth or Horth. I don't know how to say her name. It's Norwegian, I believe. Those are probably the books in recent memory that made me feel pretty bad.
okay. Mine, I didn't answer the music question because I did answer it on my previous stream with Talking Story, but like I've been really into K-pop lately, specifically 17 and Stray Kids, and there are some single songs on there from some of the
Mm,
artists that I love, and I actually think you might enjoy Stray Kids. So I may have to send you some songs after this and see if you
I'm
enjoy
down.
it because it feels they have really good rappers in Stray Kids. Like
Okay.
their rap is actually really good. It's in Korean but yeah, they're really good and I like their sound specifically. So
Yeah,
um
send it to me. I will absolutely listen to it.
Curse of the Mist Wraith.
Huh.
Oh, okay. Nice. My most recent cry was Empire of Silence. And I that
Okay.
was a little bit of an ugly cry actually in the Publix parking lot. So um
A
yeah, it
good old
was
fashioned
rough.
ugly cry. Always good. Good for the soul.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I felt a lot of empathy towards the character and what was happening. I don't want to spoil it for anyone else that's in here who hasn't read it. And then I did want to ask if there was like a show or movie that last made you cry or feel really strongly as well.
Oh man. I mean, I think Severance is a pretty emotional show, but I think the easy answer here is The Pit. The Pit on Max.
Oh, I've heard you talk about that. Yeah.
I think it's one of the best shows the last 10 years. I mean, it is I got choked up multiple times in that show. I don't know how you couldn't with the stuff that
Mm.
happens in it, but truly, folks, if you like television, you have to watch The Pit on Max. It's so good. It's unbelievably good.
Okay. I will have to guess I gotta get it a subscription now.
Yeah. What about you? What's the last thing? What's the last show or movie that made you cry?
I honestly can't think of one because I don't watch. Oh, I don't watch shows and movies very much. However, the
Okay.
Great British Baking Show actually makes me cry. Well, okay, uh there was okay, let me explain. There was a season, I think it was the last season, and the woman won. I don't know why I said it like that. The woman. But there was a woman who won, and her children there, and her family was there, and she had a son who was on the spectrum.
Mm.
And the intense emotion that he showed for his mother winning, and he was crying, and it just made me cry. And then right after that, they had a little memorial up for one of the people who was on one of the previous seasons who had passed away.
Oh wow.
And she was one of my favorite people on that season. So there's
Was was the son Alan? He would laugh at that. Just so we're all
he would,
clear.
he
Yeah,
would, he
Alan
would.
very- I message Alan all the time with questions about autism. I'm like, hey, is this an
Yeah.
autistic thing? I heard this is an autistic. Is it true? And he's always like, yay or nay. Like he
Oh,
confirmed
okay.
to me that autistic people love trains. I had no idea. They love trains.
So
Bridge?
I've
I don't
heard,
know. What is
actually.
that? What is that?
Bridge to Terabithia, you never seen that? It's got Josh Hutcherson and some girl. I'm sorry, I don't know the actress's name, but it's very, very sad movie that I only watched up to the not sad part when I was younger, so I didn't even know what happens at the end.
Oh, this is older.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not
It looks
old,
like
but
fantasy.
older.
Yeah, it
It
looks
is
like
fantasy, yeah.
I mean, it's
kind of
2007.
magical realism-ish. 2007's not like old though.
No, I got news for you. That's old.
No,
it is. I know. Hey, I'm wrestling with it too, but yeah, it's old. That's almost 20 years old.
It's not what I would call old though, but I just I like older stuff. So I'm one of the best mystery movies is Clue. So what? Clue is so good. Oh no, your microphone is off. What happened?
Wait, it's off?
Oh, it's back.
I wonder
know
if
what
it's
happened.
because I was listening to the trailer for that movie. I think it took over my microphone. But Clue's a fantastic movie. It's a classic.
So good.
It's
so good.
Hmm.
It's too good. I agree. So we're up on an hour now. Do you have a time limit or?
No, I mean, I can go for another hour. I don't care.
Okay.
We're all good.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, perfect, because I do have so many more questions. But part 2 is always an option as well. I just want to be respectful of your time, and
I appreciate it.
This is Nuts time, obviously.
Yes, of course. Of course. She has many things for me to do.
Yeah. She is great. I love your chats with her. I really do. And actually, I do have a question. Well, not a question, but more so a comment about what she was talking about. And it's when you guys were talking about A Song of Ice and Fire, and that she had some doubts about herself. I think that's a common problem with women who come into reading, and they come into it in the romantasy or in the romance genre. And there are some women who feel they're not smart enough to go into fantasy, which I think is so silly. And I think it's kind of sad that, and maybe it's, by the ADHD reader, thank you for joining. I feel like there are, he made me lose my train of thought. I feel like maybe it's just the way that fantasy's talked about sometimes, where it's like, there's all these elements and all this stuff, but it is kind of sad to see that some people are like, I'm just not smart enough to read it. It's so not true. What do you have any I don't know, any things to kind of help with that sort of mindset, or maybe books that you're like, here, you can read this and it's, see how it's actually not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, if they're words on a page, right? And
right.
I think as long as you go into something being okay not knowing every little thing, that's not what we were talking about the litmus test earlier. That's not what reading's about. Reading's about an experience that you have, and certain parts of the story are going to resonate with people and others not, and that's just how it works. And I think as long as you're open to just kind of go along for the ride, it'll be okay. I think people do get paranoid though, not understanding what's going on, because they don't want it to be a waste of time. That's the one thing everyone, I think, unanimously can agree on in the world, no matter who you are, what you are. You agree that wasting time is the worst feeling in the world, or feeling duped. That's probably the second, right? And I think when people are going through a couple chapters of a book and maybe they don't understand every little thing, they start to worry that they're going to get to the end of this thing and have nothing to show for it. They're not going to have an experience. And I think this happens a lot of the times with Malazan. And at the end of the day, like Malazan is just a story that you read, and you're going to get some of it. You're not going to get others. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't think that all of Malazan is completely understandable. Even on a reread, there's some stuff that's really nebulous, but I can tell you that I got a complete experience from those books without understanding every single thing. And at the end of the day, they're not as intimidating as you would imagine. I think more people should just go into it with an even kilter experience. And that's one of the reasons why I always say, like, people are like, oh, don't read Malazan as your first fantasy book. And I actually disagree. I think it's a fine fantasy book to read first because you don't have any expectations of what the genre should be like, what the narrative should be like, how many POVs there should be, how much focus in the POV there should be. Because a lot of fantasy books feel samey in many ways, right? Like we have multiple POVs, just like A Song of Ice and Fire, that kind of set off a huge chain reaction. Not that there wasn't stuff before that, but like that became like the most popular way of telling a story then in the fantasy genre. And that's not the only way to tell the story. I so many new fantasy readers, and this was me, so I'm guilty of this as well, come in from a multiple POV perspective, and then they hit a first person story and they feel like it can't be as epic because it's first person. And they say, oh, I don't like first person narratives. And it's like, well, how many have you read? Well, I've not read any. Well, maybe.
Yeah. So how can you say you don't like it? Yeah.
And they're not doing it because they're being disingenuous. It's just something that we do as human beings. I mean, I've done it. I'll tell you this. I used to sit there and be like, I want to read more Viking stories. I don't know why I said that, because I read more Viking stories and I don't like them. I don't like Vikings. I don't think they're interesting at all, which makes me.
I will take personal offense to that.
Everybody in the world.
Scandinavian. I'm kidding.
I am, but I'm kidding. I'm the only person in the world that doesn't think Vikings belong in every fantasy book. Like everybody else just.
Well, I mean, not every fantasy book, because if everyone's special, no one's special. So, if you have Vikings in every story, you're going to get tired of it. If you have pirates in every story, you're going to get tired of it. Like, Jose said English is not his first language, but he read Malazan because the first 2 books were published in Brazil, and it's pretty okay to understand if you pay attention. So,
and not being in a rush, and
and I can understand the language barrier struggle. I cannot imagine trying to read that in the languages I've studied, Chinese or Spanish. I would struggle. Spanish would be better, but Chinese would be impossible for me.
Yeah, Jose, your English is fantastic, dude.
Definitely.
Better than mine, to be honest.
Listen, the United States education just has failed so many people.
It's not great at this point.
It's not great.
I don't think it's going to get any better either, unfortunately.
No. Alan can attest to Florida's education not being.
He's trying.
He's trying. He's trying to change the tides, and I appreciate that. He's so passionate about
drowning,
and things like that. But you know what? I would have loved to have Alan as a teacher.
Oh, me too.
It would have been so great. But here we are.
Now I'm stuck with him as a friend. It's so much worse.
What a shame. I wanted to know what your maybe most toxic reader habit would be. In quotations. Maybe what someone else would consider weird, or be like, oh, why do you do that?
I think my toxic trait is I don't honestly care that much to finish books. I do, because I want to be able to have a complete opinion on them. But to be honest with you, I care so little about the last, I find myself caring less about what's going to happen than I think the normal reader does. I very much like to kind of figure out the message that a book's trying to give me, the experience it's trying to give me. And that's generally enough to satiate me and make me move on to my next read. That's pretty toxic. I think also it's pretty toxic of me to be like, man, this book 1 was sick, and then not read book 2 for 4 years. That's a problem. That's not good.
Yeah, that's pretty me though.
Yeah.
But writing and listening are easier than speaking. 100%. Active recall is the issue there, and then you got to think of the pronunciation and the way to conjugate.
When I go to Puerto Rico, I always read the menu, but I can never do anything else. I know what I'm ordering, but I'm don't ask me to say it. I just point. I want that.
Oh goodness. I think my most toxic reader habit is that one, I will also do that. I will also like read book one and then I'll be like, yeah, okay. Well, I'll read the others later and not, have a plan for it or anything like that. And
Yep.
then I will also like stop reading in the middle of a paragraph, in the middle of a sentence, and be like, I gotta do something else. And like I don't
Oh,
have to get to a
that's a
chapter.
strength. Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah, I don't have to
I'm
like
the same
because I
way.
just don't have that time. Like
This got broken to me in Malazan. You'll go to Malazan, it'll be a 200-page
mm,
chapter. You gotta just figure it out. Like you just gotta
it's
figure it out.
horrible. Oh
Yeah,
my
you
god.
just
I would I
gotta
would
be
say
okay.
like the way that the Lives of Locke Lamora is structured, that's
Mhm.
probably one that I would like to stop on the breaks because there are so many breaks
Oh,
even within the chapters.
what a
It's
good
so
book.
good.
It's
So
so
well written.
I
I
love
love the Lives of Locke Lamora.
I'm with you.
I
That's
love it
a
so much.
I'm not super proud of all the videos I've ever done. Like I don't really like my own videos, but I love my review of Lies of Locke Lamora because I felt so passionately when I reviewed it and I
Yeah.
talked about the writing and how I got so much out of it. Like I was getting lost not just with the characters, but I was getting lost in the writing style. Like I was just like, gosh, this is what like an enriching fantasy feels like to me. Like that's why
It
I
was
read.
so good. It
Yeah,
was so good.
it's a slammer.
And what I love about it too is that Scott Lynch was able to use curse words as a part of his prose.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel awkward. It didn't feel like performative cursing or something like that. It didn't feel like he was trying to be something. It was just like, oh, this is part of his writing. And it was really good. I love the politicking in that book.
Yeah.
I love the way that the characters are taught to be thieves. Like, not only, and I pitch this book to everybody I know in real life. Like, like I love it so much. And you know what? I know that there are some parts you're supposed to feel emotional about, and I didn't. I would say that's the only problem that I had
Yeah.
with the book is that I didn't really get emotional, but I didn't feel like I needed that to enjoy it. It was just so good. But yeah, the way that they're taught to be thieves and they're taught these different languages and taught how they dress and the different mannerisms and how deep he goes into it, I just love it. It's
Yeah.
just so good.
I'm totally with you. I think those are some of the books that I'm most looking forward to rereading, honestly.
Yeah. I would love to do Eliza Lockamore reread and get even more out of it the second time. And I do need to continue the series, but that's another one where I read the
I
book
get it.
like 2 years ago and I have not started. My other toxic reader habit is that there are times where a book is too much or I'm taking too long to finish the book that I'll stop like halfway through and then I just won't pick it up again for months later. And then, but then I'll have to restart it.
That's me with Wolf Hall. I feel so bad, but like, yeah, I've done this with multiple books. I have read the first like 20% of Crime and Punishment so many times at this point that I'm just like at least 3 times. And I want
That
to,
is
I feel like I have to like Dostoevsky as like a white dude in his mid 30s with glasses. Like I feel like I have to like Dostoevsky, but like I just can't for some reason. Like
that is the first book that I read to get into reading as an adult.
and how'd you feel about it?
So I will preface by saying I read it because it is one of my husband's favorite books.
Okay.
So I really wanted to like it. However, I it dragged a lot. The classic Russian literature is very slower than American classic
Yeah.
literature or English, like British classic literature. There were parts that were enjoyable and intriguing, but those were like 100 pages apart, where it was like, oh, something really cool and interesting happens. Okay, 100 pages later of whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I would have a different appreciation for it now that I have done more reading because it was just not the book to start my reading journey off with. I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what
Yeah.
to appreciate and what to kind of. But the thing is like towards the end, there was a character who went on for like 2 to 5 pages that I
Monologue.
didn't know. Yes, I didn't know what was important about what he had to say. I didn't care about him. He was a very like dislikable character, unlikable character. And see, my English is just not great. And, but yeah, the end was great though. The epilogue's great.
So for me, I like the themes and the idea of the book quite a bit, and I will finish it eventually. I have like a real problem with digesting his long drawn out monologue. Like I think the last time I tried it, I stopped with the long letter from his sister or something, or about his sister from his
Oh,
mother. And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
just like, man, like I don't know. I feel like everyone's yelling all the time. You know, like everyone's just
That's so funny.
screaming. Like they could be whispering,
That's
but
what
they're still
Russian
screaming.
sounds like.
I
That's
love
what Russian.
Tolstoy though. I mean, Tolstoy would make my top 10
Mm.
authors of all time. And I've loved everything I've read from him, but you know, I don't know. I one day I will conquer a Dostoevsky though. It'll happen.
Yeah, one day, maybe not Crime Punishment. I don't know. Like I know that there's a lot of tackling of feelings of guilt, but a
Yes.
lot of the book is, and like I know that you read a book on OCD, not a book on OCD, but there was a person with OCD in the book or something like that. It wasn't
Yes,
that long
Planetfall.
ago.
Planetfall.
Yeah. And I struggle with that, and I think that because those feelings, the OCD is a bit stronger now, maybe I would appreciate Crime and Punishment more.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I had read it for the first time, uh, my OCD wasn't as prevalent. It was there, but I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, being diagnosed and things, like I understand kind of my mind and the way that it works. So maybe, and I do want to read Planetfall, but I'm scared. I don't
Well,
want it to pull me into like a depression, you know?
it's intense, especially, you know, whether you know someone or suffer from it yourself. Like I think it's a very transparent view of it. The
Mm,
nice thing is it's really short. So it doesn't take too long to read. I thought it was excellent though. I thought it was really good.
yeah.
So that's a book one of a series, but from everyone, like everyone's told me, like you don't really have to continue on. There's some people who love the sequels, or some people who say they're not necessary. But for
Mm,
me, I felt like I got out of that what I wanted. And
yeah.
I would like to read more stuff from Emma Newman, but I'll probably read something in a different series or whatever else. She has a podcast with Adrian Tchaikovsky, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's an everyone, huh?
Yeah. And her husband has a book, and it's really good. It's called The Vagrant. It's wild. Very weird. It's like The
Sounds familiar.
Mandalorian mixed with Dark Souls. It's very
Oh,
strange. Yeah.
that sounds really cool.
I said it's the best 3-star book I've ever read. I think that was my review for it. So like
Okay.
it is kind of a 3-star book, but it is unlike any other book you've ever read, which makes it notable. You know, it's a remarkable
Yeah.
3-star book, which is
Yeah.
usually 3-star books are not very remarkable. This one is. And I would like to read more in that series though, which is ironic because I think I 5-starred Planetfall. And I don't want to continue that series, but the 3-star series from her husband, I would love to continue. Because I feel like there's potential there. So
Exactly. But that's because you have something to look forward to within that series. Whereas hers, you're like, okay, I got
yeah,
what I wanted. Like you said, I got what I wanted out of this book. But the other one, you're like, oh, I wonder where this goes. So I
yeah,
think there's some to that.
I would agree for sure. And like that series from Peter or Paul Newman or Peter Newman, I can't remember his name. Is very nebulous. Like he leaves a
Mm.
lot to the imagination. So yeah, maybe one day I'll continue. I own book 2 and 3. I just haven't read them yet.
And I heard that was a problem. That
Oh yeah,
just
I,
buying books in the series, but you maybe haven't even read one of them.
it's
It
bad.
happens.
Yeah,
It
it's real.
happens.
It's so
It's
bad.
I feel that it happens. I'm trying to find my thing to turn the light down.
I mean, I bought all of the Wheel of Time after the first 2 books because I love book 2 so much, and then I DNF the series after book 5. But I'm not upset that I own those because I love the covers of them so very much, and
Hmm.
you know, I hope one day that there'll be somebody who wants to read them and I can like loan them out. I'll probably finish Wheel of Time at some point too. Eventually.
I really want to read it. I haven't gotten into it, but my husband has read the first 2 or 3, I think. I think he's on book 4 now and really loves it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm interested. He hasn't read Lord of the Rings, which I think
Mm.
is interesting because, like a lot of people say, the Eye of the World is very derivative of the Lord of the Rings. So I'm interested to see kind of like, because when I've talked about Empire of Silence on my channel and talked about how there are things that are very clearly taken from Dune, that kind of makes me feel a certain type of way, but the story isn't derivative of Dune.
Yeah, I mean, Empire of Silence is like Dune mixed with Book of the New Sun mixed with Bejeweled. Like, there's a lot of inspirations that go into Empire of Silence. Eye of the World is definitely derivative of Fellowship of the Ring for sure.
So I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that and pull out because like I went from Crime and Punishment to reading The Lord of the Rings. I think those were my beginning book journey
Wow.
sort of like books. That is one. Lord of the Rings is one of the epic fantasies that I would not recommend someone to start out with.
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just not a good starting point because of the Old English and because of the descriptions of nature. If you're not already really into the Lord of the Rings from the movies, then I would not suggest going into that. But because I love the movie so much, I was like, I want to hear more about these characters.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think that like one of the things is like if you wait too long though and you read so many things that are like Lord of the Rings, you might get the Lord of the Rings and be like, oh, I've already read this, right? Like I've seen this done before.
If it weren't for reading Hobbes, Wirtz, and Sanderson books, I'd read Wheel of Time. Had a great time with Eye of the World, and then I listened to it a few years back. Or
There's
when I listened to it.
So many books to read. It's tough.
Right. And some okie dude said I'd start with The Hobbit. Yeah.
I like The Hobbit
not for
more than
me.
Lord of the Rings.
And you know what?
It's so good.
It's a very contained, singular book story. It's got this lighthearted feel to it. The adventure of it feels very good. It's a very good feeling book.
Yeah, each chapter is a bedtime story.
Mm.
If you can actually read the chapters as bedtime stories. They have like an ending and beginning. Yeah, I think Tolkien did that on purpose. I'm pretty sure.
It's been a little while since I've read The Hobbit. I think that was also one of the books that I kind of started my journey out with. Jimmy just said he likes the Hobbit movies more than Lord of the Rings movies. You heard it here first.
No. The fan cut that I watched last month, though, very good, much better than the originals. But no, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is those are my favorite movies.
I have only seen the first Hobbit movie, and it was when I was young, and I had read most of the Hobbit book at that point, and then I stopped reading it because I didn't have an attention span. So, but I was so disappointed when I watched it. I was like, this whatever scene went on for way too long. What do you mean they're gonna make like more movies? Like they held on to something of the adventure for way too long. And I was like, this is no, it didn't. How are you gonna turn like a 300-page children's book into a full trilogy? I mean, they were really milking that cow. So
they milked it dry.
They did truly, and I'm sure there'll be a remake soon at some point because that's just what movies and shows have turned into, is just remakes only, basically.
Well, isn't Warner Brothers doing a Lord of the Rings television show? They're remaking the original trilogy into a television show. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I also know that isn't that Harry Potter is supposed to be a TV show as well?
Yeah,
and
I don't.
Percy Jackson is a TV show now too, which okay. I did start watching the Percy Jackson.
I heard it's good, actually. I don't know.
The first couple episodes were really good, and then you go to the end couple episodes of the first season, and it just sped through. And I'm just like, well, y'all could have took more time on this, because the first couple episodes were very much like, let's follow the book, let's do this. And I read all the Percy Jackson books not that long ago, because I didn't read them as a kid. Because like the only book from Percy Jackson that I read as a kid was The Sea of Monsters, and it was like my favorite book ever, and I didn't know it was a series. So then I tried to go back to The Lightning Thief, and I was like, this is boring. Anyway. Horrible. Starring Tom Holland, Esperanto. I could see Tom Holland as.
All right, to be fair, Leonardo would kill it no matter what he got casted in, to be fair.
He would, but I think Leonardo DiCaprio's a little past the age that I would put Aragorn.
Yeah, I mean, that, and he'll pull up with like a 17-year-old girlfriend. It's weird.
True.
Dude, it's real weird.
Yeah, let's not get into that. It is very true. So while we're on the topic of shows and movies and things, there was something that you said in one of your streams, and it was that you don't like shows to end.
Yeah.
I am like that so much. I wanted to know if you have any specific examples. I do want to start by saying, for me, it was How I Met Your Mother. That show had ended. That show ended. And one of my friends told me the ending. And I was like, she asked if she could. And she knew I was watching it already. And I was like, yeah, sure, you can tell me the ending. I don't care. She tells me the ending, and I'm like, well, that's disappointing. Then, let's see. I think it took me about 7 years to actually watch the 9th season. So I would watch season 1 through season 8 almost every day. It was my comfort show.
Stop.
I watched it all the time. Season 9 didn't exist to me. And then I finally watched it. And the last 2 episodes are just so bad. Yeah. So I feel you on not wanting shows to end. And I am wondering if you also feel that way with book series or books, or is it just... And then I do want to hear any show examples if you have any.
Okay. So books, I do believe that I would probably let many books reside at like 75% done more often. And I'd be upfront with that, right? Like I'd be like, yeah, I didn't finish it. But having a booktube channel and giving my thoughts, like I want the whole picture, especially if I'm going to represent it to other people. So I finish books almost always. There are certainly series that I have not got to and finished. Like I am on book 6 of Sun Eater. I still haven't read Disquiet Gods. To be fair, I was not as big of a fan as book 4 and 5 at all. Like book 5 actively upset me, I think. And so like there's a reason I would say I haven't read the Disquiet Gods yet. But I don't usually leave things unread with books that I'm interested in, series that I'm interested in. I will say that I generally don't find the ending, even if it's a good ending, I don't find it nearly as impactful as other people do. The best examples I can give you, the TV show, and there's been dozens and dozens and dozens over the years, but the 2 that I would put in my top 10 TV shows of all time that I've never watched the final season of, except for, well, hold on. One is Parks and Rec. I've never watched a single episode from the final season. I never will. And the other one is The Leftovers. The Leftovers, I have 3 episodes left, and it is the biggest like cliffhanger, like mystery TV show I think I've ever watched. And I have not watched the final 3 episodes, and I don't know if I ever will. Not because I don't think it'll be good. I've actually heard it's an amazing ending. I just don't know if I want to know. I think I like thinking about it more. Like, that's why I like unfinished series. Like, I like Gentleman Bastards. I like King Killer. I like A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, I like unfinished things. I think it's in some ways, I think it's more fun. But I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
So.
No, I also can you. He's giving me problems. Go over there.
He's very adorable.
He is. He was my first cat. He's the best. But also the worst at times. So, yeah, man, he made me lose my train of thought. Oh, yes, I love open endings as well. I think the conversations that you can reap out of those things are very good, and I think that there is this comfort in not wanting things to end and just wanting to stay in your little bubble of, well, this will never end. You know, this isn't over. And that's kind of how it was with me and How I Met Your Mother. I was like, well, this can't be over. So
Especially
I'm just
comedy
gonna,
shows. Like,
yeah.
to me, you know, I mean, obviously Parks and Rec has a through line and the storyline's amazing. I think the plot's actually phenomenal. But I
I
don't
haven't watched it.
need, yeah, like I don't need to know what happens to everybody. I want Pawnee to exist. Leslie Knope still
Mhm.
doing her thing. Like I just don't need it, I guess, to appreciate the
Yeah.
show for what it is. So that's how I feel. Like I don't blame you at all for not wanting to watch the end of How You Met Your Mother, whether it was good or not. Actually, I just don't think that it does much for me in the story, I guess.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I didn't want to finish it is because I didn't want the ending that I knew to be true. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to stay in my little bubble of, well, that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I don't know. My comfort shows I like not finishing. Like the first two Harry Potter movies are my comfort movies, and I don't usually watch past those. And it's not because they're like good. It's just the nostalgia that I feel and the happiness that I feel
Yeah.
when I watch those movies. Like that's my airplane movie too.
Okay.
Um, or like when I'm sad, feeling real down, like I'm putting that on, and you know,
I've never finished Harry
joy.
Potter either. Yeah, I never finished
I
it.
haven't finished the books. I have 3 more books to go.
Yeah,
And they're
I
waiting
don't
for
think
me.
I ever will, unfortunately. I just don't care anymore about it, you know? Like I know that sounds mean, but like
That's fair. That's fair though.
I tried to reread Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's, whatever it's called. And because I went to Harry Potter World last year whenever I was in
Mm,
Orlando, and it was amazing time. But I was like, you know what? I'll reread the first book. Like I loved it as a kid. I fell off during Goblet of Fire when I was like 14. I just was like, oh,
yeah.
there's Halo on Xbox. Like, why would I ever read a book? And so I tried to read book one, and I was not having a good time. Unfortunately, I was just like, oh, I
Mm,
like there's no nostalgia there for me, I guess, which is
okay.
weird. But Harry Potter World was cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Way too expensive, but very cool.
I also went, was it maybe last year or the year before?
We were
But
probably there at the
frozen
same time.
butterbeer.
Oh, butterbeer,
Probably not.
frozen butterbeer, so good.
When I went, it was storming on us. So
Oh, ooh, it was like 100 degrees, and I was there. It was very, very, very hot.
you
But
know, it was storming, raining, but it was great. My husband and I were celebrating our anniversary, so it was great.
nice.
Um, so my next question is, do you have any positive moments that randomly pop up in your head, like positive memories, or maybe like random funny ones that pop into your head that you just think back and you'll kind of maybe laugh to yourself or smile to yourself or something like that? Um, Before that, also, ZK says, I put down the A Song of Ice and Fire book after book 3. I'll do a reread to include the other available books someday. Book 3 made me experience quite the high. I didn't want Storm of Crows to ruin that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reset in book 4. It's a new arc. So I actually think it's
Mm,
not a bad idea to take a little bit of a break and then to come back to it with a fresh slate. I think that's a pretty good idea
mm,
because Feast for Crows is like kind of unjustly hated in the series. Not hated, but like
mm.
downtrodden because it follows arguably the best fantasy book ever written. So like, you know, it's not fair. So it's not a fair.
Yeah,
It's like the first climax in the series, like true like things coming together type deal. So
yeah.
um,
Although, oh, sorry.
no good, no good.
I was gonna say, although very different, I think that's what I needed to do for the Lives of Laclamora because the
Yeah,
lots of things change, and you know that once you end that book.
yeah.
That to go into the second book right after, it's going to be a completely different vibe. And I think I needed time between the first book and the second book to go into the second book and know, well,
Hmm.
this is going to be the pirate story, essentially. Um,
Yeah.
and that I needed time in between because it's very different settings. So,
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that I 5-star all 3 Liza Lockamore books, but like
love that.
they're definitely different for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see, I'm very interested to see where Scott Lynch takes it. And I don't mind that it's open ended or not finished. Like it really doesn't bother me. I think that's fine.
Supposedly the 4th book's done and we're just kind of waiting now. So, fingers crossed.
Well, that would be a happy conversations to have then. Yeah, that'd be great.
So I'd be so
Because that's been the three authors, Scott Lynch, Patrick Rothfuss, and George, to see who's gonna finish first. And I think,
I mean, Lynch is definitely the most likely to finish out of it. And then second's
likely
actually George, which is saying a lot.
Well, yeah. So the positive, the positive or funny moments that come up to you randomly that you would like to share.
Like in general?
Yeah, like it doesn't have anything to do with books or anything like that. Just something that pops in your head that lets us know a little bit more about Jimmy. It's just like, oh, this is a funny thing I did, or this is something funny that happened. I don't know.
Oh gosh, I gotta go with things that won't get me in trouble. I quite enjoyed when I was in high school. I was probably like 8th grade and 9th grade. We used to go to the mall because that's what you do as kids, I guess.
Same,
And I used to eat pennies in front of strangers to freak them out.
That's great.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty weird, to be fair. It's a weird thing to do.
Fair.
Or my favorite pastime that I do in Las Vegas every time we go is that when we're walking out of the casino, I will start yelling at Kelsey that we've lost the house and we're gonna have to sell everything as if we've went bankrupt at the slot machines, and people react very poorly to it. They're like, "Oh my!" So I've always enjoyed messing with people in public. So that's probably the two things I can think of off the top of my head that wouldn't get me in trouble. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been so many different things. My friend Andrew always brings up moments that I've done things. He's always said that I'm very much into going into business for myself, meaning that like, regardless of the situation, if I want to do something, I just do it. And other people might find it like absurd or like awkward, but I just don't react. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he would have a lot better ones to bring up probably.
Oh, jeez.
It is very unsanitary, dude. I agree. I was like 14 though. I didn't know any better.
I remember trying to do a magic trick and I swallowed a penny on accident. I think I actually coughed it back up, but I was trying to do a magic trick for my mom while she's like doing the laundry, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what my dad gets for trying to teach me magic tricks, and then I can't do them as I'm like 5. So, oh my goodness, no, I was probably about 8 or something like that. I feel like I had a moment that I'm trying to remember because I had a funny moment in my head and then I forgot it as I came on the stream, but I was thinking about it earlier today. I used to go to the mall with my friends too, and I remember falling up the down escalator because we were running, but I fell up onto the next floor, like I tripped and
that might have been where your knee blew out. That might have been the beginning.
No, definitely not. I did not have knee pain really until the Marine Corps. No, I was fairly healthy growing up. The one story I had shared previous to, which is kind of funny, but kind of like a proud of my younger self moment, was when two of my friends had come to my neighborhood and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go throw some rocks at some ducks." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, we brought a bag of rocks and we're gonna throw them at the ducks." So I leave my house, I storm over there, I don't say anything to them, I grab the bag and then I leave. And then later the guy asked me for his bag back, and I don't remember if he had a knife in his bag or if I just had my own. And I took a picture of the knife on the bag like I was gonna cut it because I was so mad at them. And I was like, wow, I was so like violent as a young person. But I feel like it was justified.
Yeah,
because how dare they?
Ducks? What the?
Right? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. How dare they? But I remember that, and sometimes that just pops up. And
sociopathic behavior. I'm glad you put an end to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I dumped the rocks out like at my house, and I gave them their bag back. I didn't cut it up because that was too nice. But maybe I should have. But they did not come back to throw rocks at ducks. So
you saved the ducks.
I did.
A true hero.
Hear my own story. I was going to ask it also, do you have a pre-filming ritual? Like, is there something you do pre-film always?
Yeah, I listen to Wake Me Up by Avicii before every single stream. Or
Okay.
I will listen to some insert random Lil Durk song. So it's ironic. Like I'll be getting hyped up to like just drill rap music, and I'm
Right.
like I'm about to fight somebody, and then I go live.
Mhm.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. You know, it's like it's so not the tone. You know, it's
Yeah.
not at all the tone, but it's just I don't know. It
Whatever makes
gets
you
people
feel better.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually for me, I brush my teeth,
Oh, okay.
which
I
is
do that
like,
too. Yeah,
yeah, because like no one's going to be smelling my breath or anything like that, but I just want to feel like
I do
clean
that
when
too.
I'm, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that was like a thing. That's
I
cool
guess
though.
I do that. I shower and then I brush my teeth
Hmm.
every time.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I'll like put on perfume or something to like film or go on a live stream, and it's like, well, actually, when I would shoot for air rifle for my competitions, that's one of the things I would do to calm me down is I would put my perfume on my wrist because it's just such a good smell. Like some of the
Yeah.
perfumes that I have, like I just love the smell of them so much that it kind of helps ground me to where I smell that and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm not as stressed anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I do it too, but I also just like the smell. I don't know, but I think it's a de-stressing thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that makes total sense to me. I always do the Superman pose before I go into a job interview. Like where you put your shoulders back and put your hands on your hips and you just kind of like yeah. It's just to like exude confidence and it kind of gives you like
Yeah.
this little moment where you're like, okay, I can do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, sometimes I will, listen to some of my K-pop stuff to hype me up if I'm going to go do something or go somewhere or
Yeah.
something like that, and yeah, sometimes the screamo music works too. Super Jimmy? New channel name.
Could be. It might be. Maybe that'll be my golf channel.
Oh, geez, not the golf channel.
It might happen. Who knows?
I I am a resident golf hater. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I get it.
And
I
it
I
is because I was forced to watch
oh.
TGA when I was younger. I was forced to golf when I was younger. The most recent time I went golfing, it was some sort of event for veterans and things like that. And I was supposed to speak at this event, but some things happened and whatever, it's fine. Uh, I Before we even go to the first hole, we're on our way. Some guy is leaf blowing someone's lawn. He leaf blowers a bee into my chest. And this
What?
is like 2 weeks before my wedding too. So like the sting is there in the photos. But anyway, uh the bee stings me on impact. So he's going full swing in from a leaf blower as I'm on the golf cart. Boom. Into my chest. It hurts so bad.
I
I
would
went to do my
imagine.
first swing, and because and I also recently got stung by a wasp a couple days ago. So that was great. I go to walk outside my house, I hear and then boom right in my back as my
Oh.
husband is coming home, and I scream like I just got shot. Because it hurt so bad and
Oh
it was
my.
so such a surprise. But anyway, so wasp sting more painful initially. Bee sting is more painful over time because it releases all the venom. So I go back to golf story. I go to swing and I turn my neck and I get nerve pain all in my neck because it had stung me right here. It was just already a bad way to start out the golf time. And then the two people I was with, well, I was with three people, and one of them was my friend, but the two older gentlemen was not too fond of. Well, one of the guys, they were also drinking, which was not great, but
I get it.
the one guy who was probably like 70 or something grabs my wrist and is like, "What's your tattoo?" And I'm like,
Oh.
unprovoked. Unprovoked
Why?
just grabs. And I was like, "Well, I just want to leave." And I'm
Yeah.
horrible at golf. Like I just suck so bad.
Yeah, there's a lot about golf I despise. I love the game. I love the skill, the all that, but I don't like the aesthetic and I do not like I don't like a lot of the atmosphere of it.
Some of the players, I guess, are not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pretentiousness
Yeah, I had a super
involved.
unfortunate incident at my golf tournament that I just did, and it was awful. It was terrible.
Oh
So,
no,
yeah, it was no good.
I'm sorry to hear about that. You
Yeah, people
definitely
suck.
don't seem like a golfer.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
like
very glad.
because I had seen on your Instagram that it's like I think the one post you have is you golfing.
It's
I'm
the
like,
only
oh,
post I have. Yeah.
I didn't know Jimmy golfed. Like,
Yeah, I've been doing it for a year. It's the only post I've ever had on Instagram, and I have like 1,000 followers. It makes no sense. Like people were just like, "Yeah, I'll follow him. He'll post eventually."
he'll post. He'll post about a book
He'll
sometime.
post. I promise. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite reading format, like hardcover, paperback,
Oh yeah. I mean,
Kindle, reading on your phone?
all right. So if I had to pick like the ultimate, like with
Uh-huh.
no variables going the wrong way, right? Like the
Okay.
best of that version, if I'm being honest with you, it's mass market paperback.
Yes, mass market paperback is great to read. I'm not
The
gonna lie, it is
the
great.
Song of Ice and Fire mass market paperbacks that they printed forever are so like readable and durable, and like the paper feels quality. There's so many
Mhm.
bad mass market paperbacks out there. Like people think mass market paperback has to be inherently like crappy, but there are actually good ones out there. I would also say that the Lies of Locke Lamora mass market paperback's pretty fantastic.
Great. It was great.
I love that is actually my favorite. Second would be floppy trade paperback, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Naturally. Love a good floppy book, but I do love so my problem is I do like my books to look pretty pristine on my shelves.
Yeah, I get it.
If I have bought them new. If I bought them and they're already a certain way, then it's whatever. But if I bought them and they're new, I want to keep them looking nice. And
Yeah.
part of it may have to do with that books are just so expensive that
Yes.
I do want to try to take care of my things. And loved the experience of reading the mass market paperback of Liza Locke-Lamore, and I may have even read it faster being that it was mass market paperback. However, I was trying so hard not to crease the spine.
Oh no, mine are creased.
Yeah, they're
Creased.
crunchy.
Yeah.
What is a book or books or book series that you're most excited to read but haven't yet?
If I had to pick like the most excited, like out of everything, like any book,
Mhm.
oh, I mean, there's so many.
Which is a great problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. Like I am so excited to, for instance, to read "To Speak the Night Bird" by Robert McCamm. And it's like an 1800s, like kind of like mystery type deal. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, Lonesome Dove has been on the list for like I don't know ever. Um, let me look behind me. If I had to pick something like that I'm excited to that's going to be hopefully soonish, would be Paladin of Souls by Lois McMaster Bujold. I'm very excited about that.
Whoa, what a
And
name.
oh yeah, such a good name.
That's
Like
such an
it's
epic name.
oh yeah, she's a goat. She's so great. Every single Percival Everett book ever written, for sure. I'm trying to like think of something that's fun that like I'm really excited to try David Hare's Mage's Blood series, the Moontide
Okay.
Quartet. It's more of like an underread fantasy series. I'm very excited for that. If I had to go with something else, I guess I would probably go with Carcanis trilogy by Steven Erikson. He only has 2 books out. The third book hopefully will be out in the next 2 years. I've not read any of them, but like I'm saving that because people say it's like his like it's even more elevated than the original 10 Malazan books. Like it's
Oh,
very
wow.
dense. And I really love Steven Erikson's writing. So
Yeah.
I would say that's probably like one of the big like pie in the sky things for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I'm forgetting others for sure, but those are just the ones that are on top of my head. What about you?
So I am still very much in my beginners, probably like 2.5 years into reading now, like as an adult. Joe Abercrombie, I haven't read any Joe Abercrombie yet. I have bought the first book. Steven Erikson's definitely up there. Like I have Gardens of the Moon, but I haven't picked it up yet. Um, I really want to read. There's a book that I recently got. What is it called? A Hero Born by Jin Yong. And because I did study Chinese before, and I saw that this is a Chinese author, and so I do have some connections with the culture and everything. I very, very much want to read about that book, or read that book, and I haven't heard very much about it, which also makes me very excited to get into
Yeah.
it and kind of put it out there and be like, oh hey, there's this author who wrote this, and yeah, so and I think it's a samurai type story,
Cool.
which is also very exciting. I'm very excited to get into Vagabond. It's back there. I haven't gotten, and Vinland Saga, especially as I found out that I was Scandinavian, which I had no idea.
You know what I said about Vikings earlier?
Mm-hmm.
I think Vinland Saga is the antithesis of that. I love Vinland Saga. I've probably read about 60% of it, but I think it's fabulous. It's really good.
Well, the main character's kind of like anti-Viking, isn't he?
Yes, the whole thing is
So
very
he
anti-Viking.
is you.
And I think it's just so well done. Like, it kind of ruined a lot of other Viking stuff for me in many ways. Like, every time I read a Viking, I just think about Vinland Saga, and I'm like, I should go back and read that.
Yeah.
But
So maybe read some other Viking stuff before I get to the.
well, you'll probably be a lot more forgiving than me. It's just not my vibe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like Last Kingdom, that TV show and book. It's a book series, but I've only watched the TV show. Like, I like that. That's fun. But I think you'll really like Vinland Saga.
I'm very excited to read it. It looks really good.
The first arc is insane. It's insane.
I'm so excited. I can't. I'm very much looking forward to that. Excited to read more Freerin. Of course, like I started it. Love it. Love the way it's written. It is very refreshing and different.
I need to write that down because I keep forgetting about it. I watched episode 1 of the anime and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. And then I
would
just
definitely say read it though.
But I see that's the thing. I want to read it too.
Yeah. The way that it is structured, because it's from like an elf's point of view, and there are like snippets that you see of her life, and I feel like we're reading it, and it's like we are living through her.
Yeah.
Because you're getting some of the everyday, but then you're also getting some of the big stuff that happens, and just kind of in snippets. And I'm like, that's probably how she's perceiving her life because she lives so long. Yeah. And I think that it's such a nice touch. It's so different than other stuff. And I'm not well read in manga, but it is really good.
How many volumes is it? Do you know?
I think it's 13 right now.
Manga is so expensive. Gosh. Like I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so it's like $11 per book. I'm like, oh man, do I want to draw? Because I want to buy them like right now. Like, I looked at the box.
Oh no, I'm influencing.
Yeah. I mean, it's been something that's been on my list for a long time. I'll tell you another thing, manga wise, I'm really excited for, because I watched the first half of the first season, and I said, oh, I got to read this. Is Jujutsu Kaisen. It has curses. I love curses.
I have heard a lot about it, and it sounds I like the style of it as well. Like, if I don't like the style of art of manga or anime, or cartoons, I will not watch it.
I agree with you.
Like, that was me with like Chowder and stuff, and I was young. It looks so dumb. I was like, get this out of my face. I can't do this. So similar questions. If you have any books that you keep wanting to pick up and then you just don't for some reason?
Oh, yeah. There's two that are immediately at the top of my mind, and that's Rachel Kushner's Creation Lake. Sioki Dude. And the other one would be Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. I've read a little bit of both of those books, and it's just like, okay, I need to get some time and to do this. Another person I've been thinking about a lot lately, and it's more of like continuing it on, is the X series by Jeff Vandermeer. So Annihilation, I loved it, and I want to read the next like 3 books in that so badly. I think Jeff Vandermeer is like one of the finest science fiction authors ever. Like, I think he's incredible.
I watched the movie, and I actually have a fun story about that. I had watched Suicide Squad when it came out, and then it sucked so bad. And then I movie hopped to go random. I was with my friend, and we randomly just hopped over, and there was Annihilation. And we watched that movie, and it was so good.
It's
And I
so
was like,
good. The book's good too.
whoa, what the heck? I know that we have it in the house, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, I want to read the sequels very badly. I love the way Vandermeer writes. I think I like Annihilation. I
Mm.
love Born. I think Born is phenomenal. I don't know if is it becoming a movie because it should be. Born movie. Is it becoming not Jason Bourne? Not Jason Bourne. Oh, Vandermeer. Here we go. I want to see if they have to be making this into a movie. It's a television series that's in development at AMC Studios. That's
Okay.
weird. I feel like Apple TV would nail that, but the Bourne book is a standalone. Well, there's some novellas that you can read around it, but there's one book and it is just incredibly good. Like it is so good.
Okay.
It's all about
They're
survival,
nice
like
and
a
short.
post-apocalyptic world where this robo bear is like floating over their city and he like attacks them. It's so crazy.
Oh, that's cool. That
Highly
sounds
recommend.
weird too. But
Highly, highly, highly recommend. There's like a survivor's love bond in it that's really fascinating. It's really good.
I love that. Now I have a couple more questions, but we are at our 2-hour mark. Do you have any closing thoughts, questions, statements?
No, I mean, I had a great time. I thought this was lovely. I always like, book chats that ebb and flow into other things. Like, I just think
Oh
that
yeah,
makes
love
for the
it.
most interesting conversations. And I mean, chatting
Yeah.
with nuts is certainly a book stream podcast, whatever. But like, I think a lot of people come for the in betweens, the
Oh
nitty
yeah.
gritty and the details and the random stories and stuff. So I appreciate the fact that it wasn't just all talking books. I always like that, and
Oh
I
yeah.
thought you were a very gracious and wonderful host and a great
Oh,
listener.
thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I appreciate that. And that's why I want to do why I wanted to do BookTube in the first place, is to have that community with people and make friends and meet new people, and not only be able to talk about books, but also definitely to just actually like genuinely get to know people,
yeah,
because that I am all about making genuine connections with people.
yeah,
And I think that, this is a great space for that. And like I said, we can all come on the common ground of these stories that we can talk about, and say what we like and don't like about them, and then we, like you say, we deviate from that, and then we go into life and we go into other things. So yeah, I appreciate you taking your time out of your Wednesday to come and chat with me. Appreciate
my
you.
pleasure. My pleasure. I'm glad that the crazy road that is life found you here on BookTube. I think we're very fortunate to have you.
Oh, I appreciate that, and you as well.
Excellent.
Thank you.